we go. Hey, Tom here, FlipAnythingUSA. So you're in for a treat. You're going to see some of my students, some that have made hundreds of thousands, some that have made $1 million, some that have made multi-millions now, and just in a very short time. And we're going to be talking about real estate, and you're going to kind of get a taste of what the kind of discussions that we have in the classroom. Of course, we don't get into too much detail. We're going to be a little cryptic on the deals that we're making for ourselves, but that's just how we operate. And so hang in there and let me know you can hear me okay. We got all the audio dialed in, but this is going to be really cool. It's going to be really cool. So be right back.
It's the best thing I ever did.
All right. So today I'm going to bring in. Let's see. Bring in the. I'm going to bring in Ron. So, hey, Ron, I got you on.
How's it going, bud?
Good, good. So I expecting other people to join. This is kind of a last-minute thing I threw together. But okay. So those of you watching, Ron here is one of my first students. You know, I started the class about, I guess, 2.5 years ago. And Ron just stormed the place, and now I'm bringing in Liam as well, and we'll start to populate this thing. Liam should be in here. Anyways, so one thing before we get started, this started with the book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. I actually wrote this book in 1992. And then, but I wasn't ready to give away my secrets for making wealth because it did me no good. Because it could be shared and used, and people around me, which actually Ron's getting a taste of that now too. But we're going to talk about that, and this is going to be really cool. Since the book came out, and I urge you to get the book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. It's been a bestseller on Amazon and Kindle, and what else? And you can get it in paperback as well. But today we're just going to talk about the economy, talk about some of the deals that students are doing, and whatever they want to share. And I'm not sure why one of them is trying to get in. He's having trouble, but let me go and hit this. And
recording in progress.
All right. So look, hey, everybody, meet Ron Douglas. Ron here. Ron, don't give away your location, but Ron, maybe you could just talk a little bit about the mentorship and tell other guys, fathers. Ron has 10 kids. It's amazing. Eight? Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you told me I had 10.
Yeah. So, I started the mentorship. I've been watching a bunch of YouTube videos on getting into real estate. I've owned a bunch of companies, but I never actually did real estate. So I wanted to do real estate for a long time, and so I started watching a bunch of videos on YouTube. And it's like anything else. You watch a bunch of junk, and then you come across and you can tell when somebody's really authentic. And I knew that Tom was authentic just by watching his videos. I could tell because he talked like me, plain talk, normal talk. Not fast, bunch of bull crap. So I started following him. I watched every video. I think I watched almost all his videos overnight. I was like up till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And then I found so right before him I found Ben Mala. So I was watching Ben Mala, and then I found Tom. So once I started watching you, Tom, I was like, okay, this is the track I want to go. I think this is it. So I bought the book. And then at the time, my kids were becoming of age. I guess some boys that were 18, 19 at the time, 20. And I was like, okay, they're getting off on their own. They're trying to figure out what they want to do. And as somebody who's owned a lot of businesses, I told myself, man, this is the fastest track, in my opinion, to wealth. And at the time, I really hadn't done a deal.
Yeah. And so talk about that a second, Ron. Just look, we all know we've all built businesses. It's work. Yeah. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
You're counting on other people. There's just so many things you got to do to build a company that you don't have to mess with real estate.
Absolutely, 100%. I keep thinking about that because now I own a bunch of real estate, and so I get to go and see business owners when I collect rent, or when they're paying rent or something, and I see how stressed out they are. And because I do business coaching anyway, I kind of help them with that stuff. But it just reminds me that how many hours and countless hours I put into a business to build it up, because a lot of people don't see the behind the scenes on a business. Your overnight success, but it took you years and countless hours to become that overnight success. And so, it's a lot of work. And, you're putting, a buddy of mine put it pretty well. He's like, it's the only thing I've ever seen where somebody's willing to work 80 hours for 40-hour pay to put in 80-hour weeks and not know if they're going to be in business next year or not. So it's so true. It's like it's a lot of work to put into a business. But anyway, I've done that. I've done it over 40 different companies. I've done really well with business. I can't complain about it. But I knew there had to be an easier way. And I, don't get me wrong. I've made millions doing businesses, but I was done with it. I don't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to put in that much work, that much time away from the family anymore. And so when we moved down to where we're at, we're kind of in a country setting, and I told my wife, I was like, I'm just going to do real estate. I'm just going to buy a few places and just try real estate. Because I'd done classic cars, and honestly, I felt like...
Sorry.
Hold on.
That was Liam.
Yeah, and so, I had done a classic car business, and it's kind of very similar. It's just bigger numbers, right? Buy a $20,000 car, sell it for $30,000, blah, blah, blah. And so it's the same thing. You fix it up, you clean it up, and then you can resell it. And so I kind of did the same thing with the housing. And anyway, so going back to what you were talking about, I bought your book, and I really liked it. It was right up my alley. And so... matter of fact, I liked it so much, I bought one for each one of my kids and sent them all copies of the book and told them to read it. So,
hey, so Ron, I don't want to be rude. I'm going to fast track you just a little bit, just because we got other people I'm going to put in here. Okay. But Ron is an absolute success story. Ron, and Russ and Liam, please turn your images on, if you don't mind, and we'll get you in the discussion here. Of course, loud music is prohibited, Liam. But anyways, so real quick here too. So Russ, you just got in here. We're talking about Ron. Ron, we'll just fast track this real quick. Ron, how long did it take you to buy a property from the time you got in the mentorship?
The month, 30 days. Yeah, I already had purchased my first property.
And then you bought. How many more after the mentorship did you buy within 6 months? Would you say?
Within 6 months, I think I bought close to 20. It was like 18. It was right up upper teens. It was 15 to 20. I can't remember now. Within 6 months, give or take a month or two.
Okay, and I don't want to give away more financial information than you want to, but you've made over $1 million, considerably over $1 million.
Right now, my portfolio, I don't mind telling that.
Okay.
I'm pretty proud of it. We built the portfolio, and this is, again, using zero of my dollars, because I refinanced them, I pulled my money back out. So I've built the portfolio up to over $4 million, and it's we're just over $1 million in loans now.
Okay, so check that out. So this is why I love real estate, and this is why I was hesitant to share the things that I knew for so many years, and now I don't mind sharing, and it's going all over the world. But it's because the same thing that happens in my city happens in every city. And I'm unaffected. Ron making millions is not going to affect me because he's not doing what I'm doing in my area. And so that's the beauty of it, and that's why we're here today. But so check that out. And so now he's got a portfolio of $4 million, about $1 million debt. And I don't even think any of that. You literally have no money of your own involved with that, right? So you're clear. So he's got $1 million debt against, and he's got $3 million inventory now that's his own equity, and he's even pulled some cash out. That's the small stuff.
Cash out. Yeah. And actually, I pulled out several $100,000s, but even if I invest $20,000 in a remodel or $50,000 in a remodel, when I refinance the place and I pull my money right back out of it. So,
Absolutely.
and usually, and some on top of that, because I count my time as part of the remodel expenses. So I make sure that I get paid my time back and all that stuff. So I pull all that money back out.
Right.
So I have no money in.
Yeah. So right there's $4 million in purchase, $3 million in profit. Now, how about you, Russ? Let's let Russ get in here. Russ is, young guy. I don't even think you're 30, are you, Russ?
No, I'm 29. Hey, guys.
So he's 29, smart guy. He's already a real estate agent, but he's taken the mentorship, and you could say a couple things about the mentorship. I didn't really want to make this just a brag fest on the mentorship, but you could say a couple nice things real quick if you want. And then just kind of tell people, if you would, Russ, just how much you believe in real estate and how it builds wealth.
I mean, I started in real estate when I was in high school. I remember the first property I bought. I literally would go over there with my backpack and with my school stuff, and I'll get tools and fix it up. And I always believed in real estate, and just kind of one flip after another, and I saw there's money there, and I just kept going and going. And then I was on YouTube, like Ron was saying, and there's a bunch of fake gurus out there, and you guys probably know who they are, but you kind of listen to them, and then it doesn't really add up to what you're doing, what I was doing, like in the trenches. I'm like, what in the world? This doesn't really make any sense. And then somehow YouTube, lands me on Tom, and I'm like, well, hold on. What he's saying is exactly what I'm going through, and then he's able to fill some of the holes where I haven't gone through, with experience. Even though I did my fair share, but
Sure.
Tom was saying, I'm not even 30 yet, so there's still quite a bit more for me to learn. And then I found out Tom was offering a mentorship, and I joined, and he helped me tremendously in some areas, where I even where attorneys couldn't really advise me. Tom, with his experience, helped me out here and there, and it's definitely worth more than what I paid for that mentorship. So
yeah, and I didn't give him any legal advice, just to be clear. But I've been through many years. This is 41 years now. I've been buying and selling real estate, and Russ has encountered recently some of the things that I've encountered as well. And so I was able to tell him how I handled certain things. Same goes for Liam. And for really everybody in the class, at the rate that these guys are going, they're going to hit experiences that I've never even hit before. It takes a long time to encounter some things. You only run into them once, but you don't know what to do in that one instant. But when somebody else runs into it, boy, you can just guide them right through it. And that's been one of the best things about it, is that. And
yeah.
And so, hey, Liam, are you in a position you can chime in as well? And then, you know what, we'll just start talking about the economy, and we'll talk about the rates. And
yeah, I'm over at the house here. I'm working.
Good deal. Hey, you can turn on your camera if you got a second, and all right, there he goes. There we go. So Liam here is a carpenter like me, and I'll just fill in your story real quick, Liam, then we can talk a little bit. Liam pulled out of the Carpenters Union, had a chunk of money and wanted to do something with it. And he wasn't really an avid investor, but now it's fair to say you are, right, Liam?
I like to think so. I'm starting to get some shit under my belt.
Yeah, and he made a couple $100,000 on one deal, rolled that into another, and now he's got about $550 coming out of his next sale, which is a sure thing.
Yeah.
And
we're supposed to. I'm hearing we're supposed next Friday. We're shooting for a closing date.
Right, and now here he is standing in another property he's got right now that he's going to close with those funds. And what do you think you're going to make on this one?
I don't know. I would say, easily 100. I had an agent over here that I've dealt with before, and I know about agents, and but he's thinking it's more in the 150 range that I could make. I got to do the renovation, but that's all I'm really finding, to be honest with you. I'm not really, I did get something during the winter time that didn't need renovation, but I was in no position to buy it, so I did the contract assignment on that. So.
Good deal. So, Liam, and we're going to run back and forth between all of you here, but real estate's changed your life, would you say?
I would say so. I started, I was working a job just recently again, and I got fucking fired on Monday.
Okay.
I was like, all right, I got fired. I took my bag, and I says, good luck.
All right.
I've been fired like 3 times in 30 years.
Well, now you never have to look back. He actually has made enough. He doesn't have to mess with it anymore. But anyways, well, thanks for sharing on that, Liam. So look, let's get back to you, Ron. So the last deal you made money on, or that you're about to close on, Liam, you're going to make $350, correct?
350, closer to probably like 320 by the time you minus all the.
You had some fees. That's right. Yep. So there's three. Yep. So he's got a couple. He's got those fees, but still, then he still got $300,000. He made it in a matter of 6-8 months, and that's the kind of money you can make doing this stuff. And what's the last check you pulled out, Russ?
Last property I sold probably made roughly around $400,000.
Damn.
But I rolled it in a 1031 exchange, so I can defer my capital gains. And I basically took a rental that was making roughly around $1,600 a month, and I flipped it into Airbnb, and now I'm making closer to, depending on the months, but on average, roughly $8 to $10,000 a month.
Okay, so the $400,000, the $400,000 you rolled and deferred into, you're now getting pretty much.
$400,000 was pure profit, Tom.
Right.
So I bought the property for $112. Did some remodeling, sold it for like $5. I think it was like 80, something like that. Made over $400,000. Rolled it into an Airbnb. So I went from having a home from 1940s to off-market deal, which is a 2006 home. I picked it up for $350K, and market value was over $600. So I made $400,000 selling the property, and then I made roughly around $300,000 buying another property.
Yeah, but just on the $400,000 alone, Russ, and sorry, I'm going to rush you along a little bit here. You're getting now you're getting a 20% return on the $400,000 profit. That's what's so freaking amazing about real estate is how fast it's like a snowball. It just keeps gathering. And go ahead.
Altogether, it was like $700,000 because I made $400,000 from selling, and then I bought a off-market deal, and you learn that in the mentorship. And I made another $300,000 instant equity buying the property below market. So $700,000 all within a month and a half.
That's fantastic.
Capital gains.
That's amazing. So, and I'm gonna get back to everybody. I'm going through real quick, and then we're just gonna have a roundtable discussion on other stuff. So these guys, Rich just came in. Glad you're in here, Rich. Hey, Rich is another student. Hadn't been in here all that long, and Rich, if I understand correctly, why don't you just tell us last 3 deals you've done, how much money you've made?
Ones that I've sold, all the deals I've made have made at least between 50 to 100,000. I have one that's pending that's going to be about 600. I have another one that I put on the market that should make around 200. But the last 3 deals I've made between 50 and 100,000 per transaction.
Good, fantastic. And then with that money, you've been able to buy another one. You expect to make 650 on, correct?
Yeah. So what I did was it was just a mobile home on land. It was a foreclosure. I bought it. I sold it. I made about 100 on that one. I 1031 that money into this land deal which I should make about 600 to 650,000 exactly.
Oh, fantastic. Congratulations. So, look, everybody here has pretty much opened up and have talked about, the hundreds of thousands or millions now that they've made. Let's talk about, things have changed here since you guys got in the class. The interest rates have gone up a little bit. I don't know if you guys have noticed that in over your career of, just in your lifetime. But when I started in real estate, I started in like 14% interest rates, like in 1980, 81, and they were coming down from 16 before that. And the first deal I got was owner financed at 10%, and I was super happy. And that was the first deal that I ever bought. And I would say, maybe the 30, 40 pieces of real estate shortly after that, the land, when I got into land, I did quite a bit of owner financing, and I was carrying notes at 10% interest. In fact, this book, you can see how thick this is. This thing is full of notes. This is me carrying notes anywhere from $10,000 to $300,000 a piece. And when I was creating that wealth, and it was by making money on each transaction, and all of a sudden there'd be, somebody paying me $150 on $10,000 or $200 on $20,000, or $2,400 a month on a $300,000 note. That's a whole different subset of what we can make in real estate. But just what most of you guys are doing right now, and myself too, is we're keep building our portfolio by sales and making chunks, and then leaving some of that and deferring that into long-term assets that'll take care of you forever, right? And like Ron, why don't you? Ron actually here has been extremely active, and he was telling me the other day, when is it enough? What a question to ask yourself. When is it enough? So quick in the game.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I've only been doing it for 2 years, but I found it very interesting that I guess I'd done enough deals that the bank had actually called me and wanted me to come in on the board meetings because they wanted to see what I was doing. Yeah. Because I just kept putting these deals together, and I was buying houses for $40,000 and they were appraising for 150 plus when I was done with them, and they're like, "How are you doing? What are you doing?" And anyway, so the main thing is that it's a fine line, right? And so what I learned from your book, I guess I don't want to give away too much of your book, but the main thing I learned in the book was you can make money whether the market's going up or down. I don't care. I mean, it's a numbers game, right? The deal has to work. The numbers have to work, period. That's all there is to it. Doesn't matter what the interest rate is. Doesn't matter if the market's dropping. Doesn't matter if the market's going up. All that matters is the deal.
Absolutely. You got to buy it. You got to buy it right. You make your money on the purchase. You agree?
Yep, 100%. You make your money on the purchase, and and I've been saying that for years when I was doing the classic car business. You make your money when you buy it, and it's the same thing. As long as it's a no-brainer when you walk away, and so now I just do the math on the interest rates. For me, I just do the math. If I feel like this is going to be cash flowing and it's going to be beating, if my cap rate. I know I'm getting picky. This sounds ridiculous at this day and age, but if my cap rate's less than 20%, I probably will sell it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I know that. So for new people, it probably sounds ridiculous. But you're buying good deals and you're buying them and you're building equity into them. So you should be cash flowing really strong. And my cap rates are anywhere between 18 and 35%. Is where I stay, and if it falls below 20, I'm probably liable to just sell the place.
Yeah,
and take that money, go buy something that cash flows better.
Right, and so Ron's right. I mean, really, if you can get 20-25% cash on cash, that's fantastic in itself. Even if you can get 9%, if you finance the balance, you'll be getting 20-25% on your money. But he's actually talking about cap rate, but he's in what we describe as a honey hole. And once in a while you fall, and what it is just the conditions are right. You're kind of alone in an area where you can actually do where there's just an abundance. It's like, you know what I relate it to where you're at, and I've been there, believe me, is there's a guy, Sutter's Mill, and I can't even remember the name of the guy, but the story goes, in Sutter's Mill, I actually worked there when I was a kid. This guy came out there to spot where they were going to build a mill, and they needed running water, and they're on the American River, and he's over there in the American River scouting, and he looks down, and there is gold just laying all over the bedrock. I mean, it's everywhere, and nobody even knows what it is where he went. And, of course, he came back and told people, and all of a sudden there was a gold rush there, and the place was cleaned out in very short time. And he could have got, and he died broke. But because he didn't know what he had. And that's one of the things that I always try to express to people is, look, even Ron, before he took advantage of the stuff that was around him, he was sitting in it. And like he said, in his regret, the same as most everybody that's ever been in the class. I just wish I'd have started earlier, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I wish I'd have done this 40 businesses ago, because I wouldn't have probably gone through those 40 businesses.
I ditto.
Burned out and sold them and all that, and starting a new one, and yeah, I would have done that.
And see, my experience is actually quite different. I got started in real estate so early, and I did have a business that I built, and I had the dream of building the cabinet shop, and I built a decent cabinet shop. But what happened was by the time I was 27, 28 years old, I was already a millionaire in real estate, and I didn't need this damn business anymore. A customer came in and complained, and I was like, oh, man, I showed him the door, and I thought, man, I'm being rude to the customers. I don't need to do this anymore. And it was a friend of mine that had reminded me of how much that I owe. He said, why are you even working? And I sold the company just like that. Hey, listen, Tina just came in. I want to introduce Tina. Tina we don't have nearly enough women, to be quite honest, and she is just a killer. She's been doing really, really well. Tina, you still there? Can you turn on your camera?
I'm here.
Yeah.
It took me a sec.
Yeah, no problem. So, Tina's just been an absolute joy. She's killing it on land, and now she's starting to expand in some other things.
Yep.
And but she is a go-getter. And why don't you just tell us maybe what you made on the last 3 transactions, if you would, Tina?
Yeah, for sure.
Not details. Not too much detail. We're not giving away.
Too much detail.
Not exactly how you did it. Just tell them how much money you've made.
Yeah, so it's progressive. So just the last 3, the first one of the last 3 was 32,000. The second one after that was approximately 15, and then I'm about to close on 3 lots, and we'll probably clear about 120,000.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah, and then I did a little deal on a really small lot, and I made 15. I bought it for like 6,000. I know it sounds like really small.
No,
but,
I love it. Yeah.
Just bought it super quick, and it was like the fastest, like 12,000 I had made. So yeah. So they're varying, but I mean it's good for me, and I don't feel like there's kind of that work-life balance, and I don't want to have a regular job, and so for right now where I don't want to be super stressed, or I don't want to be a bartender, so right now I feel like there's a really good balance of where I'm making enough to really support me and my daughter, and also it's just fun doing deals. It's fun finding things and finding value where no one else does. So
yeah, that's fantastic. And so I know this is probably true for everybody, but it's fair to say you have a heck of a lot more money in your pocket today than you did before you started getting involved. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you start to think about money a lot differently, and funds and just property and just things. And I would never, back to what the other gentleman said, if I had known about this, I would have never had my other business.
Yeah. Well, there's so much work. I mean, I've been that guy that's been up at 4 a.m. and worked until almost 2, and it's true. It's great. It's a great experience to have building a business, and success is great. And and I've had, what's funny is I've had, even in this stuff, you guys see the bar. There's a video I got where I bought a bar. The problem with that bar was, even if it was tremendously successful, it wasn't worth my time. You know what I mean? Even, and that's what it is. Most business, even no matter how successful they are, it doesn't even compare. The amount of work to money made, it just doesn't even compare to real estate.
Right.
A real quick here, those of you just got here, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'm gonna jump over here real quick, let you see some of the other people here in a quick, and we'll be right back.
Stop and listen. Time is on a mission to eliminate all the snake oil and the fake gurus that fake y'all. We'll show you how to build an empire, starting with nothing but a desire. All you really need is a good mentor, not a used car bullshit. With time, you'll learn to crush it. Investing like Warren Buffett. With real estate, you cannot procrastinate. Everyone who hesitates is left at the starting gate. Hey, yo, so don't delay and join today. The mentorship and flip anything. USA, go.
All right, we're back. I'm running the jingle. I'm juggling YouTube and Zoom. I'm not the best at it, but I'll get it down before long. This is actually working surprisingly well. And so, hey, those of you in the audience, anybody got any questions for the students? Hey, Keith. Keith's actually a student. He's not in here right now, but that's great. But so these are all, like I say, these are all people that have gotten into real estate, taken the mentorship, got the book, and So now let's talk about what you're nervous about right now. You've seen the interest rate go up. What are some of your concerns? Why don't you start, Ron?
I think that my only concern is, with the interest rates up, making it a little bit harder to sell, especially the higher end homes. Things that are 500,000 or more, at least in my area. 500,000 is a higher end home. So, 500,000 in this area would probably, it seems like the people in that category are starting to slow down buying. I haven't had that problem because I also took your other advice and I staged my homes and we make them really nice. They sell pretty quick, so I haven't had that to worry about yet. But I'm nervous seeing it come down the pipe where the realtors are telling me that they're selling for they're not selling as fast.
Yeah,
I would think that it would actually be the other way around. The lower end homes would probably be more affected because people that can afford a $500,000 house probably have more money to put down to make a spread. So maybe they could put 20% down on a $500,000 house. But they can probably have enough cash on the side where they can put 30% down and still do the deal. Versus if you're a first-time home buyer and you're seeing all these rates at 3% and then you're getting hit by 6 or 7, you're going to be in that situation where you're thinking maybe the bank's taking advantage of you, or you have just enough money to put down for the FHA loan, 3%, but now you're at 6%, so your payment goes up by 20%. So those houses might stay on the market longer because the entry-level person is not sophisticated or has that kind of money built up where they can afford that house now because the payment's higher.
Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily true, and it's probably going to be different from.
And you may be right.
That's what I think. I just think that people who can afford a $500,000 house could just put more money down. But I could be completely wrong.
Relatively speaking, though, if you can afford a $500,000 home and your income dictates that, you're affected by the interest rate just as much as anybody else. So now now you can only afford a $400,000 home. So the other thing is what I think is that what's going to happen is the investors are going to back off, and now the people that can go get a 3%, a first-time homeowner, those programs are still out there for them, and they can get a 3% down deal, and they'll be financed. And that's the thing, they'll pay more for it. There's legislation they've even talked about creating. We're keeping investors out from investing. Like it's a crime that we get in there. And really, all we do is go in there and do added value, and then we turn it, and then ultimately the person that puts 3% down does come in and buy it. So,
I got something to say about that, Tom, because, one of the most irritating things to me is these first-time home buyers that come in and go, I don't want to buy this. The house is yellow, and it needs this, and it needs that, and they want it done, And so, because I've even called my realtor and said, man, this house is almost done. Can we go ahead and just start listing it? And he's like, they really want to see the finished product. So, on the flip side of that coin, these people they don't want to add value. They just want to go in and buy a house that's already done. And
right.
pay for it.
Well, and in defense of those people, Ron, they can't afford to do the improvements you're talking about. They have to finance 95% of the deal. So that's why,
That's your point.
yeah. So as an investor, we do provide a great service. Yeah, we're making money on the deal, but we're earning it. If we do added value, I mean, I love buying stuff and just turning it and not having to do anything, and that's my favorite way to make money. But again, even if I do come in there and put some added value in there, and let them pick out their carpet, let them pick out their countertops. They got enough to put 5% down on, say, a $200,000 or $300,000 home, which you only get to do that usually once in your life. If you're a VA guy, they'll even do better for you. But once they get it, that's done. That's their one shot at it. So they can't really, and remember, the bank doesn't care for the yellow house either, or the yellow walls and the ugly carpet. So we have to do that just to make it financeable anyways.
Hey, Tom?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Liam.
Also, not everybody has the skill set to do the improvements. You got to remember that.
Oh, 100%.
Only the money.
No, if you don't have this, so Liam, like me, we got the skill set. We can actually do a lot of this work. Not everybody can, and I'm sure some of these other guys here can too. But if you don't have the skill set, you have the money, and you can hire the skill set to take care of it. I got tile guys working right now. I got people working at two different buildings and 3 houses right now, and I have to check on them all the time. My skill set lets me look out for problems, and I catch things, which I'll be sharing with you guys soon. But I think that I think the market is opening up to first-time home buyers better than ever, because they're very frustrated. They come up, and somebody like me gets there first, pays cash for it, and now they're forever looking. And a part of me feels bad, but it comes back up for sale, and then they do buy it, And a lot of the houses that I've sold have been with, dad's coming along and he's helping his son or his daughter buy that home, And so, everybody's got to make money. And the other thing, the service that investors bring just to the overall economy, we go in there and we have stuff fixed up. We're having AC guys come out, carpet guys come out, tile, floor, granite. All the things that we do to improve, we're helping the economy. And, so I don't know. But I do think that there would be an opportunity, like say, for people that don't, first of all, we're not even seeing enough. I haven't seen the values drop enough on the commercial end. Well, we'll talk about houses because that's what most people can relate to. But
Also, Tom, the houses that I buy will not qualify for a mortgage, quite honestly.
right. And by the way, yeah, and I want to mention this because Liam just sent me a picture of a check, and this is what like it's nice. How nice is it to refer to a $10,000 or $15,000 profit as little? Like, oh, it's just a little thing. It's a lot of money still. And Liam made $8,000, and look at Tina. Tina's like, oh yeah, I made a little deal. $10,000's a lot of money to a lot of people. I mean, think about how hard it is for somebody to save $10,000 that makes, 60 a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I would have to jump in on that because even from the land side, you get a lot of people that might be doing like a dual land and construction loan to like build something more humble but new. I've also had people that are trying to get into like mobile homes and put mobile homes on the lot, and they get pre-qualified, but then the interest rates are so crazy that I'm having to kind of have more wiggle room on my percentages and stuff. So, and I've been willing to give those people a break, just because it's like, it's not a little bit of money, so you try to be a good person along the way and be like, all right, let me not agree. But it's been very interesting.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that too, because that's probably one of the best things about being a real estate investor is that, I have a joke I used to talk just about real estate agents. No offense to the real estate agents that are in the course or watching, but they never feel sorry for an agent that loses everything because they never earned it anyways. But with as an investor, when you're making money, you can be generous, you can help people, you can give, I've had people that couldn't pay the second off. They had a second when they lost their job, the economy got bad. and they owe me $5-10 or whatever. I just waived it. They'd been paying on it for 2 or 3 years. It's like, no big deal. And that's probably one of the coolest things is just being able to help whoever the hell you want. You know what I mean? And you decide on merit who you want to help. But I don't know what your experience is with that, but yeah.
Yeah, that was the coolest thing I've been able to do just recently. Was I had a tenant who his wife passed away, and so I just told him, I said, don't even worry about rent, and it's been 3-4 months, and I'm not even worried about it. So,
Good for you, Ron. Yep, I've got quite a few stories like that myself, and like I say, you just, there's all kinds of stuff that never gets seen. And it's a wonderful thing. And so, Brady, I'm glad to hear you're having the same experiences that I am. So
one thing I do want to mention, I'm finishing up a flip here, and
yeah.
I mean, she has 40 homes that she currently has staged, and usually there's been a couple of weeks. And right here, basically, she's saying they're sitting. 40 homes, they're sitting, and she can't move them, and she's completely out of inventory. And I'm kind of scrambling to kind of stage the home myself. So I am softening up on the ground, especially the higher end homes.
See, you're getting a little nervous, right? Now, Russ, again, is a real estate agent. He has a brokerage, has agents, and he's one too, obviously. So you're seeing a little bit, the inventory starting to build a little bit, and sales are taking a little longer?
A lot longer. So instead of, a couple of weeks, so I'm located right now, because I invest in different markets.
Remember, you're on YouTube. You're on YouTube.
I know. But this market in particular, which I'm here today, and it's usually really hot. Homes usually would fly off the market within a week, maybe 2 weeks after being built. Here it's sitting. And I'm starting to see price reductions. So if you're flipping something, sell it now, and wait for more opportunities. But I am starting, especially the higher end homes. The lower end homes are still selling. Anything less than $350,000, they're selling quite well. It's just the higher end homes that I'm seeing the slowdown. Same thing with the stagers. Same thing with the construction guys. I talked to some siding guys. Like, oh yeah, it's slowing down. So especially with the interest rate hike. But then again, that also spells out opportunity. Some of the best deals I got was right after the crash back in 2010. Yeah,
I'll tell you what I'm looking forward is I've been wanting to buy a nice car, and it was in 2009 when everything kind of went to hell how it did, and I think it's going to be a little worse probably here for other reasons. But I picked up a little Mercedes SL 500 for $33,000 that had just sold for $105. Maybe a few years before that, but. They say, and maybe Ron, you might know something about this. They say that those collectors' cars, the cool cars that are a second car, they go down in value very quickly in tough times. And so you might have something to add to that.
Yeah, they actually do. Because they take a back seat, especially to your house, and so it's the second and third cars that that people have collected that they just start dumping them on the market, especially modified ones. They're like hot rodded cars that are not like, it's not like a '66 Shelby that's untouched. The modded cars, those start just caving. I mean, people have $50,000 in them, and they'd be lucky to get $15,000 for them. There in 2009.
Yeah. So, what do you think right now? What do you think right now for? When does it set in? When do they start to say, I got to get rid of this? On a car. No, I'm asking Ron on the cars.
They usually, I think it actually flows kind of with the real estate. Once people start, somebody had mentioned, I don't remember who it was, but somebody had mentioned that there's only so long somebody's willing to pay $100,000 for a $50,000 a year employee. You know what I mean? And so once those people start realizing that they can't work remotely and can't make their $100,000 anymore, those start coming on the market quick. I mean, I remember when motorcycles, West Coast choppers and those things were, they were selling for $100,000 or plus, and those guys couldn't give them away for $20,000. I mean, they just all started flooding the market really quick.
Right.
And it usually happens right after the housing market starts to decline is when the cars start going too, because now they're having to downgrade to a 2-car garage and they're having to get rid of that house with a 3-car garage, 4-car garage.
That's funny. This is actually the warehouse I'm sitting in right now. The guy bought it for his car collection. I guess he bought Michael Jackson's glitter glove too. It was one of his prized possessions. But I ended up buying it. This place. But so I don't know, Tina, where are you right now? Is it Iowa?
No, I'm in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. And so I wonder if you guys noticed, I was in P.F. Chang's. I took my son there the other night, and we go in, and I'm like, oh, good, we're no problem getting a table. It was 75% empty. And she said, it's going to be a 45-minute wait. I go, what are you talking about? She said, I go, you're empty. She said, no, we only have 3 servers. There's people sitting there waiting for a table because they don't have enough servers. And she said, oh, no, tonight's a good night. And this is probably an 8,000 square foot P.F. Chang's. It's probably $20,000, $25,000 a month rent. And they can't possibly support the place. Now, they do have fun running out the back. I mean, the food's running out the back for the, because the curbside pickup and that has opened up. The ghost kitchens and things have opened up things quite a bit. But I just wonder what you see there. Do you see that kind of problem with restaurants too in Wisconsin?
Absolutely. So several of my friends own establishments, and they just have a hard time finding help, one, but then to find good help is a different ballgame. So we've seen a lot of businesses here. Up here we have like lots of bars and grills, supper clubs, things like that. And I've known several that have gone out of business because they just can't staff. Yeah. They can't. And then the ones that do maybe have a few bartenders or waitresses and things like that, it's not enough to provide the level of customer service they want. So they're starting to get bad reviews, or it's too stressful and they sell. And I live in a very rural area. It's very small. But it's just crazy. It's insane because a lot of people who've owned businesses for a really long time are just having to sell or
it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And I just want to know where those people are. They're getting a check. They're either getting a disability check, pretending to be sick, or the government. I mean, because the government's talking about how busy it is and how great the economy is. Shit, there ain't nobody working, and it's very frustrating. Because I've had to fire 3 caretakers this week. I got a mother with dementia, and I mean, anybody that gets hired, they're getting $30 an hour, and they don't want to do anything except be on their phone and they have a phone in one hand and a soda stuck in their hand in the other. And so I've been gone through 3 of them, no kidding, just in this week. And you couldn't have an easier job. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that the ones that are succeeding in this small town, there's one town close to here, and it's about 2,800 people. Yet they have a huge influx of tourists from the cities, Twin Cities, and that type of thing. So the main places that are still not just in operation, but they're actually profitable and cash flowing, they're getting a lot of assistance from the economic development organizations locally. So they're getting a lot of state funding and a lot of loan forgiveness programs just to keep, keep a certain standard of, of the businesses that are flourishing and things like that. And I've known almost every single one of them, because I asked, how's your relationship with the Small Business Administration? How are you making it? And every single one of them have said they've gotten some sort of assistance.
Well, and I've even heard about that the local city councils have taken it upon themselves to subsidize city workers. So if you got a city worker that's making minimum wage, they got a fantastic program. They'll pick up your babysitting. They'll pick up, they'll pick up another, $2,000 or $3,000 a month with rental assistance. And these are people that have jobs. It's just unbelievable. I don't know. but I just see doom and gloom, because as far as, overall economy, I love the real estate. It's gotten fantastic. The inflation, richer, we all get richer all the time, but nevertheless, it's painful to watch, some of it. So what do you guys think? I mean, how is it going to curb you, what you do right now? Or do you feel like you're going to sit and hold a little bit? Are you getting rid of any of the properties? I mean, I tell people, go ahead.
It's going up and down, up and down. So some days I just want to sell the whole portfolio and write it out. just wait and see, because I know it's going to, it's going to crumble. But some days I just want to just sell it all. Then some days I'm like, no, because the guys that I know that do really well are people that buy and hold longer. And so I'm trying to just remember that what were prices like in 2008 versus what they are today, and just trying to remember that, trying to think back. Okay, what was it like 10 years ago? That's how much it's probably going to raise in the next 10 years. And so.
Yeah, well, like the majority of my properties, I want to hold. I mean, most of stuff cash flows extremely well, and so like I say, I'm not even affected. Things go down, they go down. I got some land. I paid $2 million for something not too long ago. Maybe it'll go down in value. I don't know, but it's okay. It's covered. But if you're not pinched to get rid of anything, and you still have cash flow coming in, it's a very advantageous position to be in. So to have cash flow coming in, but also have some cash available to you, which I usually do in the form of lines of credit. If I don't, if I have everything, out there invested, but I'm not really holding anything that I need to get rid of. How about you guys? Are you holding anything that you think, I would like to get rid of this in the next 2 years? Do you have any of that?
Everything that I want to sell, I have it on the market right now. Everything else I'm just going to hold on to.
Right. And do you feel like doing the leapfrog? Leapfrogging is a chapter in the book, by the way, where you jump ahead and lower the price, or you jump ahead and offer more than everybody else in order to obtain it before people bid it up. And likewise, sometimes you jump and you get ahead of everybody selling cheaper, so you don't have to play around with, going down $10,000 every week for 5 weeks. You just jump 5 weeks ahead, take it $50,000 off and get rid of it, which served me well. How about you? Russ, you got a little something going like that, but Rich, what are you doing on that end? Are you gotten nervous to that point yet?
Just the one property that I have for sale, just because I'm looking online and I don't see any others that are selling. Like, I don't see any ones that have come on the market for the last month. There's still none that are like really moving. There's none that are pending. So I'm just going to mark mine down to the lowest price per square foot, maybe go a couple dollars lower than the lowest price per square foot. Even though my property is more of a better looking property than the other property out there, but I have such a high margin of profit that I can do that. And I just personally, I just want to be out of that deal and move to something else and make my profit than having to sit and wait forever. Because time is money. So I'd rather just sell and get it over with and move on to what I want to do with my 1031 money.
Right. Yeah. You got to find something to do with it. That's always it's a good problem to have. but and you're not even, sorry. And I just want to say one thing. If you flip that land that you got, you're going to make $650 on. You're not going to make the 1 year mark, are you? Where you're going to have, where if you did take your lumps, you'd pay the lower capital gains.
Right, but talk to your CPA.
Hey,
my CPA says it's all good as long as I conform to the 1031 rules.
Oh yeah. No, you don't have the issue.
Oh, yeah.
No, you can 1031 out of it. I meant if you do realize the gain, you're going to end up getting hit on the short term ones right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good problem to have. How bad is it you make $650,000 in less than a year? You know what I mean? And that's the problem.
It's a great property. I mean, I'll take taxes on it if I have to, but I don't want to. So.
Yeah, agreed. And go ahead, Russ. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I'm just reevaluating, selling off the properties that are making less money. The ones that are making a lot of money, I'm holding on to those. It's long term. If I need to, I'll refinance, do a cash out. But I'm always on the lookout. Like, I have an appointment tomorrow. I'm going to be looking at a property. trying to figure out how to buy it. So if it's a good deal, even if the market's softening up and you know you're buying it on a, bargain sale price, you still buy it. Even when you see the market going in, like the property I'm going to be looking at tomorrow, there's roughly, I would say, at least 300,000+ in equity.
Right.
If the market goes down, okay, there's still equity in there if I roll it, but just, paying off debt, really high debt if I have any, leapfrogging on some of the flips, just to stay ahead of the curve and, looking for those opportunities. That's what I'm doing here.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing, as long as you market to value, as long as every time you evaluate things, you realize, you know what, like I have houses I paid $200 and then I'm paying $225. Now I'm paying $300. Well, I've had the opposite happen too, where they start to go down in value, and it's like, you start to see things sell cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and then you go, you know what, I wouldn't pay $300 for that again, but now I'm back to $250, because I see there's 50, where 6 months earlier I thought there was 100 there, now there's only 50, so. Right. Yeah, it's a strange thing, and a lot of people haven't seen it. If you haven't done real estate long enough, you've never seen property values drop, but they do drop. They drop terribly, and you'll see, like I talk this example quite a bit. You'll see the first phase of a subdivision sell for say 150, and then the second phase 175, and the third phase 200, and then trouble hits, and now the third phase or the fourth phase, it's just they're selling for the same price as the third. And now things are, a lot of inventory. They got a lot of stuff framed. Now they're starting to do custom things. They're throwing in extras. And now pretty soon they're doing it, and they're selling it at the second phase price. Now all of a sudden the people that are in the third phase, they're upside down. They're upside down on what they paid for it. They may not be upside down on their mortgage, but they're going to take a hit if they try to compete against the builder. And then it goes all the way back to pretty soon they're selling their homes for less than they had sold the first phase for 3 years earlier. And everybody's stuck in that because now they have to wait for the builder to get rid of all of his inventory before they can sell anything, because all they have to offer is the same home that's used, and the inability to offer options like carpet color, tile, and that sort of thing. So it's an interesting thing, and I hope we don't see that, but I've seen it before, and it'll be interesting. I'm sure we're going to see it in some areas for sure.
I'm just waiting for the commercial for the cap rates to increase. I'm wondering if any of those owners have variable rates, or balloon loans, and you might start seeing some deals with these higher interest rates.
Yeah, it's something's got to give. In fact, I was reading an article. So, like the Dollar Store and Dollar Tree, and I may be mixing them up. I think they're actually owned by the same company. Well, a lot of those guys, when they take a lease, they lease something for 15 years at one rate. In other words, there's really no adjustments. And I'm not saying this is absolute fact, but just for example. And so they have to lock in that deal. Well, there's less, and they build like a Dollar Tree or a Dollar Store almost every day or something. It's some insane amount, one a week. And I get options all the time that I can, to buy a brand new Dollar Store. Hadn't even been built yet. And, but they talk about a 5% return. I'm not interested in a 5% return. But it's starting to mess with their model. You know what I mean? Because if guys like me and you won't step up to fund these things, then what are they going to do? They're not going to open as many stores.
I was going to ask you that, Tom. So in commercial, what's considered a good cap rate? Because this whole 5 to 7%, almost like this is not even worth my time. Am I thinking wrong?
No, you're not. But what it is there's a lot of stupid cash out there, meaning people that got 1031 money that they have to spend, and they'll take a 4 3/4% cap rate sometimes, and even though because they got too much deferred. I mean, I'm guessing to a degree on some of them. I don't know everybody's history. There's other people that I understand they can fast track, migrating into the country if they spend $1 million. And real estate used to fall under that fold. There's programs we don't know about. But overall, what I would say is it's starting to happen. I'm starting to see decreases in prices in order to, open that delta up between what we, pay in interest and what we, make on the property. So I think it's coming. And, I've been seeing a lot of things. I did a video earlier about unpriced, for sale, unpriced. I ignore those, or I call them up and say, why even bother? In fact, it was a member of Crexy, one of the associates that worked there, had contacted me, and I said, man, I'm annoyed as hell with Crexy. You guys have all these unpriced properties for sale. That is a waste of time. And in all honesty, I think it's disingenuous. Most of those properties aren't for sale. All they're doing is they're trying to make contact with somebody that's in that marketplace of buying that stuff and trying to see if they can develop a relationship with you. It's, you know what I mean? It's like a loss. It's just a way to initiate a conversation and say, oh, by the way, do you have anything for sale? And you guys know, I don't like to tell anybody what I'm looking for, because I don't want them looking for what I'm looking for. I'll find it on my own. So
what do you consider a good cap rate on a
Oh,
triple net?
okay. I'm glad you asked again. Sorry. Listen, if you can't make, and everybody watching, if you can't make 3% between the cap rate and the money you borrow, then don't buy it. Don't buy it. There's not enough money there. You just can't anticipate the things that can happen. If you go out there and and this is why I think these fund guys are going to get terribly burned, because they're buying properties that they intend to flip, some of them. Well, the people that are going to buy their property are already at a 1.25 point disadvantage over some of the deals that they financed. And, and so the properties aren't going up in value is my point, a lot of them. And so people are in a position where, and I feel sorry for anybody that's thrown money into a fund, because your money may be there for 20 years, and by the time it's done, maybe what are you going to get? 4% a year on your money? It's pathetic. So, and that's
Tom, just to piggyback on that, I have a friend that invested in a syndication on multifamily, and they're definitely not hitting the rents that they wanted to hit. They're over budget on all their supplies and materials, and they definitely overpaid on the property, and then they got this interest rate that's a variable interest rate, and then they wanted to sell it at like 4 or 5 cap, and he's like, yeah, we're not even getting our preferred rate right now. I was like, well, I told you not to invest in that.
Well, I don't like shooting down other people's stuff. And people say, well, why are you shooting down Ryan Pineda's deal? Ryan Pineda had this they call it a $21 million property. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole for $8 million. It was terrible, I thought. And the guy that was going to make the money, I think, is the guy that was rolling him into it. And just the walkthrough itself made me think, these guys, you got to, when you're going to invest in a fund, you need to look at the person you're investing with. What experience do they have handling a $10 million property? You follow me? If they've never done it, it's important, because you're just really rolling the dice. And in that situation, it costs a lot of money to maintain apartments. The fans go out. The carpet has to be replaced. Especially, they were looking at look like C-grade properties. They look like projects, you know what I mean? There was no rec center. There was no giant pool. I didn't see any of the amenities that would indicate it was an A property or a B property. It was just it looked like the projects, maybe not quite as bad as some projects. I can bring some pretty horrible pictures in some minds, but I'm just telling you, it looked like barracks. It looked like military housing, that particular project. There was nothing appealing there. And you still have people that walk out. And so imagine having an apartment building and you have to replace the carpet. You know what I mean? Or everything that you need to do costs almost double than what it did from when you bought it 6 months ago. And so they're just going to be tortured on these things, and I'm not saying Ryan Pineda particularly on his, but I didn't like it at all. And, but we'll see what happens. Maybe he's a whiz kid. We'll see. But I'm just saying, to your point though, what you were saying, Ron, and everybody, if you can't make 3% on the borrowed money, don't even bother. There's not enough meat on the bone, as I say. You're taking a chance of getting hurt. You know what I mean? Interest rates go up 1%. Now you got 2%. So if you got it too close, you're just going to be ruined. And there are people say, well, you get the depreciation. There's certain, and you might recoup 1%, maybe. On the overall, with the tax breaks and different things like that. But it's still, just don't touch it. You're better off probably watching what you own already more closely. If you have like rentals and things, that's one of the things I'm doing. I'm up to about 165,000 square feet, I think, right now, 165. Mostly office or mostly industrial and commercial and office. And so I'm just taking really good care of those assets that I have. You know, I'm keeping the curbs painted. I'm keeping the windows clean. I'm putting up Ring cameras because we got more theft in certain areas. I'm trying to make things extra safe, and so that people don't break into places. I'm trying to intimidate the crooks before they even think of doing anything bad. Which I'm a big fan of the Ring cameras. You know, I probably have 30 of them, and I have a huge dashboard on my phone where I can go in and I can check and look and see if, what's going on, and so highly recommend that. But hey, you know what? This was a lot of fun. Did you guys enjoy this? Yep.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Yeah. So everybody.
Yeah, I did, Tom. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Well, I did too. I thought this was really nice, and I think it's good for the people watching. Just to see. What we do, and just the wealth made. So I'm going to cut here too. Yeah.
All right. So maybe next time. I wanted to. What do you know about the non-recourse commercial loans? Because I've heard them. I'm not exactly sure what they are.
I know absolutely nothing about non-recourse commercial loans. If you find one, let me know, because I'd love to have one. Oop. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. It sounds like a government offering, but no, never heard of that. If there's no recourse, I mean, everybody would just go out there and squander it. But hey, so I think we'll call it quits here. But man, thanks everybody. I appreciate it. And those of you watching, please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. There it is.
Before you go in that mentorship class that's coming up, can we discuss commercial properties and what's the super good deals, how to structure them, and go into that? Yeah,
what we're doing, Russ, is because just the level of students I've got, and you guys are gonna be getting recognized here pretty soon, by the way, for your accomplishments. But also that comes along with that is you're kind of at a different level than, of course, somebody that's brand new. I mean, look how much smarter you are today than you were, maybe a year ago with real estate. Everybody learns every year. You get smarter. And so we're going to have stuff more geared for, just a little bit higher level investing. When you start making enough deals, that's the natural progression as you start to buy stuff, industrial properties, commercial properties, offices, stuff that bring you cash flow, and then you still got to keep you got to keep your seed capital to keep, the stuff that you turn and burn and flip. But, so yeah, absolutely. And in fact, maybe what we'll do is we'll do like a Wednesday night stuff, and we can roll into a conversation, and then we'll hang out and jump over to YouTube and share a little bit. But yeah. But I really appreciate you guys, jumping in, and I'll try to give you more notice in a half hour next time. But I think we'll just do this weekly, and I think it'll be a lot of fun because everybody's got great stories and great things to say. And sorry, some of you, I'm just trying to get to everybody a little bit. So, but it's really cool. Everybody's got different perspective, different areas, different life experience, and it's very cool. So. Thanks again, and we'll say goodbye to everybody else out there at YouTube, and we'll do it again. We'll do it again soon.
All right, yeah, have a good day.
All right, thank you.